So now that the cyclist is in place, we can start to taking a look at the shadows, and we'll do some work on the cyclist first. So if we quickly duplicate a layer, call it the cyclist shadow, show you a good way of putting in a shadow that I like to use. So we've duplicated the cyclist in place, and now we're going to just desaturate it and turn it black. Now, if you hover between the two layers, you'll see that the cursor turns into like an overlapping circle. If you hold Alt and click when you have that symbol, it ties the adjustment layer to the layer below, and now you can adjust it and you can see that the cyclist becomes dark. If we go into Edit and Transform, whoops, my mistake, just need to be on the cyclist, not the adjustment layer. If you go into Edit and Transform, you can then sort of move that around and shape it about. But in this instance, for the shadow, I think I'm going to go into Distort and give it a little bit more of a realistic feel. Just play around with it until you're happy. I like to make sure that the bottom of the wheels are aligned to the wheels of the cyclist. So it's not cluttered. I've just hidden the adjustment layer and the shadow layer, and then we'll just put them in the right order. So we want the shadow behind the cyclist, and there we go. Just going to very quickly make it look like the bike wheels are actually on the ground. So to do that, I put in a separate layer for whenever I do shadows, and then you can paint onto that separate layer between the layers, and then if there's anything you don't like, you can just erase it without having to worry about damaging the layer underneath. So I'll put a little bit too much in and then erase some of it out so you can see how that looks. So that's not looking too bad for the shadow now, and we're about ready to bring the flags in. So again, just open the flag up, go into the move tool, hold your shift key down and move it from one picture to the other. So I'm just going to align this with the pavement on the roadside there, and then bring it out roughly as far as I want it to extend to cover the cyclist. And then I'm going to use some guides. I'm just going to drag them out from the rulers top and bottom, and that's going to give me an idea of where the flag proportions are, because in a moment I'm going to mask the flag, but then I'm going to invert the mask so it hides it, and you invert by pressing Ctrl and I. And then what you do is you paint back and you bring the picture of the flag back through the mask. And I prefer to do it that way than trying to do it the other. I have a whole host of smoke and paint splatter type brushes. They're really easy to pick up from the internet. I use myphotoshopbrushes.com. They tend to be free downloads. You can pick up patterns of just about every description. Download them onto your computer, install them. There's loads of videos that tells you how to do it. It's really straightforward. And then use the paintbrush palette on the other side just to change the direction of the brush until you get it to the angle that you want. Again, just going to put the mask on for the French flag, invert it using Control I, and then we'll just change the paintbrush, use it, make it a bit smaller or bigger using the square bracket keys. Change the black and white, so white paints it back in because you've inverted the mask, and then paint it in to the extent that you want. Clearly at this point you can see most of the levels. I'll just change the order of the layers around a little bit so that the shadow sits on top of the flags, so you can see that a little bit better. The flags have masked the shadow a touch. And then after that, it's up to you what you do. You can sharpen the cyclist, you could add a little bit of motion blur to the cyclist, and just keep it towards his back maybe, so it looks like the front is really sharp but the back is just starting to blur. Anything like that, it's up to you.